What's up, everybody? This is Elliot with Modern Music Studio. I'm going to be running us through how to use the Pioneer DDJ SX2. So this mixer right here, it works with Serato, and I'm just going to kind of run through the functionality of how you use it, what these different buttons do, and kind of just get you ready to play on your own and have some fun. So let's hop on into this one. Okay, so now before we get into using the actual deck itself, I want to go into a little bit on the program Serato, the software that's kind of controlling the DDJ SX2. So looking at Serato right now, I have it set up in a way where we're looking at all 4 decks, meaning deck 1, 2, 3, and 4. Though I really just want to see 2 at the moment, so I'm going to go up here and click this 2. So now I'm just seeing deck 1 and deck 2. You can see the deck right here. Here's deck 1, here's deck 2. I actually prefer to see it a little bit differently. So up here, this just shows you what you're looking at, so to speak. So you can do it stack mode, where you're going to have deck 1 and 2 on top of each other. You can do horizontal, where they're right next to each other. Horizontal is actually pretty good because you can see where your beats are lining up once you drag a song into it. And I'll just go ahead and drag a song in, though I don't want to use the software to drag a song in. I want to use the actual controller, because we're DJing. We don't want to be using the computer the whole time. So with the controller, if we come up to this knob right here, this big knob, it's going to control our software. As you can see, as I scroll to the right, I'm going down my library, and to the left goes up the library. So I'm just going to go ahead and choose a song. I'm going to go with Ariana Grande's 7 Rings. And right next to the knob up here, we have these 4 buttons that say load. Each load corresponds to the channel or the deck that you're in. And since this is deck 1, this is deck 2, I'm just going to load into deck 1 for now. So I'm going to hit load, and you'll notice now I have some stuff show up. These are just some preset things that I've made earlier on. And now I want to load a song into deck 2. So I'm going to scroll down until I find one I like. I'm going to go with, let's see really quick. We'll go with Electric Love. So I'm going to choose Electric Love. I kind of want to clear off anything that I've already done. These are called cues, like where I'm at right now, and we'll get into that in a minute. But if you have anything on that you don't want, if you hold this shift button right here and the same shift button over here on deck 2, you can tap on what you want to clear. So if I add in a bunch of different cue points or somewhere where I want to jump into a song, if I hold shift, I can just delete those really fast. So now going from there, the rest of this is just to play the song. All you have to do is make sure your volume is up, and you can just go ahead and hit play. So now our song is playing. We're listening to Ariana Grande. We're listening to Ariana Grande at that point. If it's too loud or you see this red light flashing, just make sure you turn down on the trim, which is the first knob on the channel, so that you're not clipping. You do not want to see any red ever there. So you'll notice my levels look quite a bit better at this point. And then the same over here, if I hit play, my levels are doing pretty well. But you may notice we weren't hearing anything there. The reason being is we have this fader. It's a crossfader, so when it's all the way to the left, we're only hearing what's on decks 1 and 3. And if it's all the way to the right, we're only hearing what's on decks 2 and 4. And if we're in the middle, we're hearing both of them at the same level. So when I move this to the right and hit play, now we can hear our decks, or hear the right side of the deck. So the next thing I want to kind of go into is the rest of what these knobs do on our channels. So again, each channel has a name, 1, 2, 3, 4. Think of it as the odd channels are on the left and the even channels are on the right. And that's going to kind of help you figure out where you are at some point. So now we're going to go down one knob, and this knob right here says high. This is your high end. So if we were to turn that knob all the way down while I'm playing, or all the way up, you'll notice how it kind of affects the high-end sound of the track. So the next knob is the mid. So those are your mid frequencies, and I'll just kind of show you what those two sound like. So bringing the mids down and bringing them up. Next we have the lows, and I'm going to just show you how that sounds. Bringing them down and bringing them up. So for one of the reasons you're going to want to be using these knobs is A, you can kind of add your own characteristics to the sound of the song, make it feel a little more bright or a little more dark by messing with the high end. But another reason is with the low knob, when you're mixing two songs together, like deck A and deck B, or song 1 and song 2, you might want to take all the lows out of one of the songs so that none of the bass is kind of conflicting with the other song as you're bringing the other song into your set. So now that we've done that, I'm going to show you what this filter knob does. It's a pretty cool knob, and I totally encourage you to play around and see what it does. So it kind of filters out the lows and filters out the highs depending on which direction you're turning it. What it will do is make a very prominent effect for when you're trying to, like, say, build a song up to a drop. A lot of times I like to take take the lows out right before a drop. So you get that kind of I don't know, pre-drop vibe that they do sometimes before songs. So that's pretty much what all of this stuff does. You'll notice there's a button under the filter knob. This is your Q knob, or Q button. What this means is when you have your fader all the way to, say, the left, we're going to be hearing what we have turned up over here. If you want to be able to hear what you have on this side while your fader is far left, you just hit the Q button and you're going to be able to hear that song without having to play it through the speakers that are to the crowd. You'll be hearing it through your headphones that you have plugged into the board. So keep that in mind. It's what DJs are listening to in their headphones. They're generally listening to this Q button, trying to match the beats up so that it's like a very smooth transition from song to song. So now let's go into the actual deck itself. I'm going to move the camera. So now this deck controls everything that your song is doing. Here's your kind of scratch pad in a way, or like if you want to do that fricka fresh sound. Or the more useful thing is, what I like to use it for is trying to find my spot in a song. So you'll notice in the software, I'm scrolling through the whole song. And maybe I want to start like right here. That's where I'm going to use the trackpad or the jog wheel to find the exact spot that I want to start my song at. So that's something you can use the jog wheel for, or just do some cool like scratch effects as well. Now going up to the very top, we have these 4 knobs. I'm going to go through these first 3 for you really quick. These are our effects knobs. So when we use these, we have to click a couple buttons to make sure they work. So first off, you have to turn it on. The second thing is you have to assign your effects to your channel or the song that you're working with. Right now I'm on channel 1, so I'm going to go over and hit number 1 on my channel. And this just means my effects on channel 1 or on my first deck are now being thrown onto the song. You'll notice there's a 2 right here as well. That is going to put the effects that are on channel 2 over on the other deck onto this as well. So you can use up to 6 different effects on one track. So keep it in mind, some cool things we can do there. Looking over at the software, I want to show you how you choose the effects that you're working with. So right up here at the very top, we have this thing that says FX. These are your effects. It's going to pop up this window right here. And from here, you can just go ahead and click on any of these and decide what you want to do. So I'm going to go with a echo, or I guess delay, echo, and probably a reverb will sound cool for these first 3 effects. Do notice this on button right here. When I click on the DDJ, notice how it turns off. So you can use the computer to do this, but I highly recommend just using the controller itself. So let's do a little demo of how this is going to sound. I'm going to use the echo. I'm going to hit play and turn this knob up. So that's one thing you can do. You can also use the reverb. And make a really cool sound that way. So that's the effects. I really like using these for transitions. They help smooth things out a little bit, and I just think they're super useful. So one more thing is, or a couple more things going into this. On our far right side, we have something that says tempo. This is going to choose or kind of slow down the song or speed up the song. It's super useful when you're trying to match tempos to another song. So I'm just going to play and you can hear what it's doing. So we're slowing down and speeding up. So now let's go through a couple of these buttons down here. Here we have our hot cue. Hot cue is a super useful trick because if you want to jump around a song, or like say you play through a song and you want to jump back to the beginning really quick without having to like do the jog wheel, something you can do. Also, this thing up here, this little strip does your kind of scroll through your song. It's pretty useful if you're just trying to get like to the very beginning right away. But let's try this out. So I'm going to use the jog wheel and set myself up right here on the track, looking at our software. And then I'm just going to tap one of these things, one of these pads. So now when I hit the pad, you'll notice it starts playing where I set the cue. Now I'm going to put one more right here. And I'm going to do the next pad right there. So now I got one starting right here. And these are just a super useful way to kind of hop around a song and stay in or move to places that you wanted to be. Another thing is you have to, after you hit this and you're holding it down, you have to make sure you hit the play button for the song to continue playing after you let go. While the song is playing, you can also hit one of the cues and it'll jump back to where you were going. So, something to keep in mind while you're doing things. So now we're going to go to our roll. What our roll is going to do is it's kind of a repeat function, so to speak. So I'm going to go back to my first cue. I'm just going to tap it, so I'm starting there. and I'm gonna hold down this roll button. And you'll notice we're repeating the same spot that's highlighted on our track visualizer over here. And you can get faster and slower. So watch this. This is another trick for a build that you can do. So something to keep in mind, it's really fun and worth trying out. So the next thing I want to do is show you a little about this auto loop feature here. So say I wanted to loop something on the fly. If you hit auto loop right here, you'll notice in the software I've created a little like region that I'm going to be looping. But that's a little fast. So another cool thing is you have this 1/2x and 2x. If we hit the 2x, notice how my loop gets twice as long. So now when I hit play, or I could go half the speed or half the length, up until it's kind of annoyingly quick. So that's a little bit of something that you can do with auto loop. It's super fun and super useful. So now that we have that all set up, that's just kind of a basic layout of how the DDJ works. Check back for another video on some tips and tricks to actually how to DJ and use this guy. Thank you guys so much.